Shan boy.
Welcome to Yuki Podcast, everyone. It's another blessed day and very beautiful day today to be here in the studio with Uncle Chi. Once again, I'm Spani. Uncle Chi, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good, man. Again, it's Monday. It's good to see another week. How are you?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. Just been busy with work and life.
Family.
Trying
to figure out life. Let me. And last time, we talked about sex in marriage, and one thing I have to make clear is 1 hour or few days is not enough to talk about the impact of sex in marriage and in our community. We only two. We cannot cover everything related to sex in marriage. So, people have to understand that, we're just here doing, we don't have all the time and we can't cover everything. But, hopefully in the future too, we're hoping to continue the sex in marriage, all those topics that we have covered before. And so welcome. This is the episode 5, and we don't know what we're gonna talk about, but you will see. Because I have a question for this guy.
What's up?
So you are a parent.
Yes.
Is there restrictions on what can be heard in your house and what can be seen in your house? And with that, I'm referring to music and television.
I would say yes. There has to be a restriction.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be some type of parental guidance being implemented in the house. And I think especially in this modern day we are living in, every kid tend to have access to electronic device on the finger of their tips.
Right.
So I think to start with the restriction, I will start putting some restriction on the Wi-Fi on certain website that kid cannot be able to access and have access to it or not.
Okay.
So I will start there.
And with the internet restriction, not being able to access certain websites for parents, what would you have to say to parents in a way if they wanted to do the same thing but they did not know where to go?
Well, I would say it's very easy if you know technology. It is easy. You can. It depends what provider you have. If you have one of the big two major internet,
we don't have to mention them.
Internet provider we have here in this state of Colorado. You have the application on your phone, and most parent does because I know they do. So with that, you can go to the application and customize the parental guide and guidance section. How you want to implement the changes and what website you can allow just the Wi-Fi, to customize the Wi-Fi so that your kid don't have access to any website out there that you have no control of it.
And how is it important to know to do that? Because some parents might see it as harmless.
Well, I would say you don't know until you know.
You have to explain that because I did not. You don't know until you know.
Don't try to be like those parents that would say, if I knew, I would have done this. If I knew, I could have done something, to prevent this, because everything starts from small and it starts building up. A fire don't just happen at one time. It starts small and then you want to becoming big. So pay attention to what's going on, what your kids are listening to, what they are watching, what they are reading. Those things, be involved. Try to have conversation with your kids. Don't just sit and say they're fine, they're safe. No, make sure you are having a constant conversation with your children, because by having conversation with them, you are opening a door that will allow them to feel comfortable, that I can come to my parent and ask them any question. They will be able to answer the question. I can come to my parent and have this conversation. They can be able to walk me through it.
Yeah.
So that's why we say start by having conversation, simple little conversation. You started building from there. You don't have to necessarily jump into a heavy or a huge conversation. Start small, just by asking, how was your day? How was school? How's your friend is doing? How's that person? What did you learn today? Is there something that you would like to talk about it that you didn't know that you learned to that school? Open the horizon, open the window, so that your children can be able to feel, if I hear something that I'm not sure, I can come to my dad or my mom and say, hey mom, this is what I heard, or this is what the teacher said. What do you think about this?
Nice. We are listening because we're going to raise tribes in the future.
Yes.
A wise man once said, when a thief is stealing, the hope isn't for his kids or children to be thieves. So, and what can you say when, because we have to lead by example. You can't say, because when it comes to listening to those things, when it comes to watching those things, what do you think is important to make sure you're doing the same things to lead by example, or is like, oh, I'm grown, it doesn't matter what I watch? And I will also I will tell my kids to now watch the same things that I'm watching, because I'm grown. So how do you, I don't know if you get the question.
I got the question. I think it's one of those things, like I said, lead by example. And when it comes to parenting, you have to be honest to yourself. You have to be honest to yourself. If you're going to say no to something, make sure you're not practicing. You're not, doing that thing as well. And I think when it comes to parenting, it is good that you are involved in your kid's life, and it is good that you are present in their involvement and their growth. But also, you don't want to be too strict.
Too strict.
Yeah, to take away everything, because you have to be able to expose them to any kind of weather. Let's put it that way. So you can just choose one type of weather to say, this is what I want you guys to focus on. So that in the future, if anything comes their way, they can be able to defend themselves that strong. So you have to be able to, expose them to everything that's bad and good, so that they know this is bad and this is good.
And how do you explain that?
How do you explain that?
How do you explain, because when you're raising kids, of course, there's that fear for, like, oh, I might not know what they found out. And there's the same reason why you restrict certain website, you will restrict certain music, you will restrict certain movies or, video to be watched. So isn't that the same thing where it's like, okay, let me not expose you on this bad side, let me expose you only on the good side?
A kid's brain is really fragile. So for you, when I say restrict, certain access to internet, we are not stopping them for forever, because we know kid has their way. They're with the school, the friend in school, playground, all this. They will be able to have access to that. But we know that their brain are fragile, not to give them access to that from early on.
Okay, so is there like a certain age, like, okay, it looks like my kid is ready for this?
Well,
Or it's like they'll find out.
Conversation shift when each age as the kid is growing. So the same conversation you will have with your 15 and to all the way to 18 years old is not the same conversation you can have with 5, 6, 7 years old.
Okay.
So as they are growing, then at that time as a parent you can determine my kid is ready for this conversation, is ready for this step or not. So you can be able to figure out that one as your kids are getting older and older.
I will Christianity, in Christianity.
Yes.
How do you explain to your kids that sex is bad? Wait, let me not say sex is bad. How do you explain to your kid that having sex before marriage is a sin?
I think just the way the Bible say it.
But don't you think that? Okay, don't you? Is that enough, or
No.
are you gonna tell him sex is a sin before marriage is a sin?
Am I going to tell
your kid? Is that what is the explanation? Sex is sin. Is sex before marriage is a sin?
Yeah.
That's
yes.
it.
No, you can just stop right there. You have to be able to explain.
Okay, please do, because I want to know.
So you have to be able to explain that sex before marriage is bad, and these are the reason why.
What are the reasons?
Why the reason? According to what God say, I believe in the book of Leviticus.
I get the book.
You can go there and read the whole chapter.
But our listener might want to know. I want to know.
It's a whole chapter, unless you want me to open the Bible. Unless
you can summarize it.
Well, so the Bible says that you cannot have sex before marriage because the whole point of that is to prevent you from going from woman to woman, because men are never satisfied with one woman.
So is the message for men or both the genders?
It's both for the gender, but the Bible holds men more responsible because God put us as the head. So we have tendency to have more to be held more responsible and accountable when it comes to that.
Okay.
Because put it this way, for most of the time, a man is the one that make a move on the girl, on the woman. So that's why it is very crucial for us Christians to be able to know that. But which we know not everyone follows that.
And for me, I think that's still not enough. Because that's still not enough because.
Well, just to answer you, I am not the pastor.
No,
to go into
it's
more,
not about pastors.
To go into more depth into that,
we have to. This is Nyuki.
Okay, but that's what I say. Like for me, that's why I say it is important to start with the conversation, because I cannot give you a clear example without finding a scenario that I find myself in. If I'm in at that time, let's say my kids are growing, okay, and then the story getting to that age, I feel like they are becoming sexually motivated and active, and all
the urge
things.
Of sex.
Yeah,
actually,
then I can have that conversation with them.
Actually, I feel like growing up in our African community is parents don't talk about sex.
They do not.
Okay, and Nyuki is here to talk about sex today. I believe is very important.
Should we say all parents or some parents?
Whoever refuse to talk to their kids about sex,
Okay.
or they think they're shy about sex, or they think the kids don't know about sex. Newsflash, they do. We all do. Before we knew about sex, we knew about sex. No, we have. This is new kid. So it is very important to talk about sex and the consequences of sex.
Correct.
As Christians, first is a sin, but like you said, there's home, there's also outside.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things on the internet.
Yes.
There's a lot of things on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Even Disney now. Yeah.
It's crazy.
You get it. And there's a lot of things where they go to hang out with their friends. There's a lot of things where they go see, where they go to school, or other activities that they do when you're not there. So it's very important to talk about sex. So apart from being a sin, there is disease.
Yeah.
There's disease out there. Sex is a beautiful thing. That I will tell you. God created for us to enjoy it, but we have to be responsible.
For us married people.
Yes.
Not for singles.
No, so like I said, when people get out there, you do not know what they can do and cannot do.
Correct.
And we have to be honest with ourselves. We already know it's a sin, but we already know what's out there.
Yes.
We already know. So apart from disease, there's pregnancy. For us Christians, we are against abortions.
Yes.
We are against abortions, and that's it.
Well,
we don't want to go.
It is not us, Christian. It is God.
Yeah, we are representative of God.
Yes.
Our God is against abortion.
Yes.
But there's a way to prevent that.
Okay.
We need to be honest with ourselves. We need to.
And I think that's why God said no sex before marriage.
But we know that's not possible.
Exactly. But if you know you are a true Christian, then you have to be able to.
Yeah, you have to grow in God. But aside, our listeners might not be Christians, but we also don't want them. We also don't want to see them aborting babies. We also don't want to see them take up on that responsibility, because raising kids is not a joke, especially for somebody you're not married to. It's easier for the person to leave you, and leave you alone. So, solutions for that. I'm not telling you go have sex. I'm saying there's protections. There's other alternatives for, when it comes to sex. But I'm not encouraging anybody like, oh, let me get a couple condoms or birth control so I can have sex like I'm married. But so there's disease, there's pregnancy, there is to avoid aborting. I think is better, and I'm not in a perfect position to tell anybody but I think it's better to wait until you're with somebody you love, because that's a very I don't know how to explain it, but the connection you make with somebody you have sex with is not something you should go around and do.
What do you say about those viewers who are watching that will say you can buy a car without test driving the car first? Because that's the mentality some people or certain Christian, especially
where first of all, a woman is not a car. That's
But
it.
at least you
That's
get you get
yeah, I get
the
it.
metaphor
But
out.
that's a bad example too. Who came up with that?
Not me.
I know. I heard that a lot of times. Like you can't buy clothes without trying it on. Hey, good luck with that.
So now you see why certain people will say, well,
No, no. Honestly, I feel like I said earlier, this is a huge topic, and this is because I don't want to see. I don't want to see people my age or older than me abandoning their kids, abandoning their women they're sleeping with. I don't want to see a woman leaving her child that she struggle with, and so is all those things is like you have a future. Are you ready to take on that responsibility? All those things, and there's a reason why the Bible deny us those things.
Yeah.
Is when we want to progress in life, there are things that can hold us back. I'm not saying a child is a bad thing, but I'm saying if you're not ready for it, don't do it.
That's I completely agree with you, and that's why it is important. That's why I keep going back to the parent support, parent involvement. So for a kid to be able to do to be able to avoid all of those things, all those and this thing we are talking about, the pregnancy, the exposure, and all these things, sex, and all these things out there, it is much better for the parent to be involved in the child's life from early on.
Yes, that is, sex is one of the topic parents shy on, and it needs to happen.
There must.
It needs to happen because if and that goes for everything, not just sex. If I don't learn it from home, the world will teach me.
Yes.
And the world won't be nice about it. The world won't be protective about it. The world will teach me. When because you are born in your house, you grow up in your house, and there are things from your house that you should be prepared for as soon as you step outside.
Yes.
And if you're not at least aware of those things, they're going to confuse you. They're going to mess your mind up.
Yes. Since we are on that topic, let me ask you, did you watch the Little X video? There's I believe the satanic and the Satan video and the Satan shoes that was released last night or today, I believe.
So I avoided to watch it.
Okay.
I avoided to watch it, and I saw some images, and I don't listen to the guy music. I never did. Even the popular songs, I haven't really sat down and listened to the whole song.
Okay.
Because I don't listen to. I'm very picky of what I listen to and what I choose to watch. But I happened to watch it, and somebody was being curious and decided to watch it. And we watch it, and he knows what he said. It was like, what did I just watched? And for me too, it was the same reaction. It's like, for me, I can't watch that. I can't allow my kids. I can't allow it to be played in my house. And I don't listen to those kind of music anymore.
True, but there's a lot of kids who have been watching that video.
Yes, and I think that's up to parents. Look, that guy is there to make money. He doesn't care what he puts out. So, and he's not gonna force your kids to watch it. He's gonna be there, but you as a parent, you have to you also have to, like with these things, I also feel like parents are not aware of what's going on out there.
Yeah.
Because you know what's funny?
So,
I saw on the internet there was a parent criticizing him. He has the Old Town song. Like I said, I never watched the whole song or anything like that. And then it was criticizing him, like, oh, something like it was more like, oh, what, why are you releasing music like this, demonic music like this? My kids, the Old Town song was his kid anthem. And then Little Nas respond. He was like, oh, actually that song you're saying, like, you criticizing me for this song, but did you know that song I was talking about adultery, I was talking about booze, I was talking about lean? And I was like, the same song you like the guy for is the same thing, but now it's like
it is very interesting and very important, because I believe one greatest rapper once said, don't listen to the beats that they are playing, or listen to the word that the person is singing along those beats. And I think it's very important, because I think the beat, that nice beat, got people carried away, and I think that was just the beats, but they forgot to listen to the lyrics
of
that song. And that is very important. That's, as we are talking about parent, make sure you do research.
Yeah.
Make sure you know, if I'm going to open this window, I'm going to allow this to be play or happen or be seen in my house. I have to make sure that this is something that will benefit my kid.
Yeah, no, I very much agree, and that goes for everything. Because I seen that with books. Like, books are good. Bro, the whole purpose of books are good.
There's all this new type of LGBTQ book out there. I'm telling you, this whole thing is crazy.
So there is, so whatever you decide for your kids to listen to watch, or to read, make sure you agree with it. Make sure you
read the first yourself.
Yes. So by agreeing with it is you have to make you have read it.
But okay, since we are addressing that, what about those who cannot read, or those that find reading the English language really hard for them? Like, what advice should we offer to those parents?
That's a hard question. That's a very, very hard question.
Well, I would say most of us as immigrants, when we come here, I would say, well, that way to where if they know how to operate their cell phone and all these things, there are certain apps that can give you the whole abstract based on your language preference.
Okay.
You can look into that, or if you know somebody that knows the language very well, you can ask them for the to be able to translate this book, so that you can be able to know. That's what I'm saying. Don't just stay there because you don't know the language, but make sure you do that research. Go that extra mile to find out, because you are talking about your child. If you don't protect them, the world will teach them.
And one thing though, I'll give to our parents. Just like we were, they're also shocked when we come here.
Yeah.
Because this is not the life they're used to. And most of them is just, they just want, like, and is the mindset from home where, like, okay, I have to make sure there's food at home. I have to make sure. But this country is a whole different beast.
It is.
It's not just about putting food on the table and making sure they're clothed. Those things are very important, but like it is deeper than that.
Oh yeah.
There's like from experience, there's a lot of things we see when we go outside, when we went outside during school. There's a lot of things, these colleges are not jokes. These high schools, all those things, like
anything outside of home, it is not something to take lightly.
No, I'll give you an example, bro.
Go ahead.
I'm not even gonna go far. I'll give you an example of my niece. I hope I get this correct, but my niece was going to one school and they gave them a book to read, and the book was telling the kids, black African kids, like slavery was in the benefit of black people. So if her parents wasn't involved and they read it, they're like, no, I disagree with that. If they were involved like that, the kids, like, they will feed their kids anything they want.
Anything.
But they were able to read it and they're like, no, duh.
Exactly. And that's what we have keep talking about this. That's what we keep saying from the beginning of this podcast. Our mission is to get parents to be actively involved in their kids' life, what goes on, because you want to make sure at the end of the day that by the time your kid's going to be graduating from high school, leaving to go to college, that at least you have tried your best to educate them, to teach them well, to protect them for that for the first 18 years or 19 of their life. Now they are going to take what you have taught them to carry that on, and
then they're gonna, it's one also thing is like, you kind of did your job,
Yeah.
You have to make sure you because you have the upper hand. Because even if they get out there and they decide to do whatever they decide, you have kind of showed them the way.
Definitely.
And it's very crucial out there.
It really is. And parents, if you get a chance to watch that video, my message to you is this: pay attention to what your kids are listening to, are watching, and be highly involved. Have a conversation with your kid. Ask your kid question. Make sure that you are able to answer all the questions your kids are asking you. Don't just yell at them and say, go away, don't talk to me. And no, don't kick your kids away, because the moment you are sending them away, that's the moment the kids are confused. And guess what? When they go out there to find something, they hold on to that, and that thing give them what they want. And it become you start having problem to deal with at home. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, it's funny it came up. Now that I'm on my own, well, not my own literally, but like now that I'm away from my parents, it's like the things that I do now in the house or mindset wise is like, oh my God. I remember my parents saying things like that. I remember my parents doing things like that. Oh, I can see my dad doing something like this. I can see my mom doing something like this. Oh, I have these things that I do when this happens. Wow, it looks like my mom do that. So the whole point I'm trying to make is be careful what you do in front of your kids. Make sure it's not something that's, because we carried that with us, and I'm sure a lot of things they did, the ways they raised us is most of them came from the way they were raised.
Yes.
And is up to you to pick and choose what you want to take with you.
Yes.
There's no such a thing as, oh, this is a generational course. No, I don't believe that. Look at yourself and like, okay, this look like what my parents did and I don't like it. Change it.
Yes.
Please don't carry with you like, oh, my grandmother was like this, my mom was like this. If it's something good, then
keep it.
But if it's something bad, don't be afraid to criticize yourself. Don't be afraid to criticize your parents in a good way, because our parents, and don't be afraid to criticize your grandparents if you still have them, because these things are very, very important to, that's how we grow. It's like, don't, please, like, this is one of the most important thing. Check yourself.
No, please do. It is not easy, and I don't think any parent goal is when I have a children, when they give birth to their kid, they want to be able to see their children succeed, grow up well, have a nice, decent life, and be successful in life. And it is saddened that sometimes things happen in life, and all those because we are forgetting certain principle. The principle is you gotta be involved. Make sure Christ is the center of your household. Make sure that start teaching your kids from early on. It is good, especially those of us who have a little toddler, little kids, and all these things. Yeah, it is good. You can distract them by watching all those Coco Melon, all those,
But for how long?
all those nice ABCD song and all these things. But it's also very crucial to pay attention. You have to know, like, if you're going to, you have to be able to time. And thank God, this day we are living with smart TV and all these things. You can time your TV for 2 hours. Even everything you can schedule all those things. Your internet, you can time everything.
Even your phone,
you can time it, and make sure that you start early on. At the end of the day, like, I try to, even Malachi doesn't pay attention, but try to make sure I'm reading the book. I hold him there. He's trying to move and go anywhere, but I make sure I'm reading that book. He's there with me, because I'm preparing him to know the importance of reading, of literature.
Yeah. I feel like we should end, but I don't know. I mean, no, it's a huge topic.
It is.
What is the last word?
Well, the last word is that parent, be very careful. Don't let your guard down. Make sure that you are highly involved. Don't just say this is United States, the kids will figure it out. No, they will not.
No, this is a different beast.
This is a different beast, like you say. And I hope that a lot of parents can learn from this. Because we learn a lot of things from high school, middle school, and all these colleges and all these things.
We were not professional. We're not experts at life, and we haven't got there. But it's not easy out there.
No, it's not. Definitely, I agree.
Yeah, and for me, for parent, you already said the parent side, but for me, another thing I just want to say out there is, like, please. Stop having kids that you can't raise or you don't want to raise. Stop sleeping with somebody as soon as she tells you she's pregnant, you're either gonna tell her, "Oh, I brought it," or "That's not my kid." And then when the kid comes, you either like abandon the woman and the kid. Please, stop sleeping around knowing the consequences.
And to avoid that from happening, parents, make sure you're highly involved in the life of your children, because the more you're involved, the less likely they will end up in that path.
Yeah, because I do feel like that's it's deeper than just I feel like the background is most of and don't blame how you were raised. Your dad abandoned you or your parents. No,
that divorce or any of those things. No.
Please, unless you want to end up like your parents, if you disagree with how they end up, then stop doing exactly what they did.
Your past is your past. Don't let your past to determine your future or your present.
Stop carrying things that are not important, that won't benefit you. Anyway, we got to go. Time is we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you, and God bless all of you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and just a quick reminder and everyone that if you are new, knowing that we do post our podcast every Monday morning,
8 a.m.
Make
and
sure you check
it's
out.
available all platforms.
All platform.
Yeah. If you wanna be in the car listening, is available for you, Spotify or those platforms. But anyway, yeah, man, peace.
Yeah, this sounds great. Thanks.
With the record.